here on the program. Great show. And we're now going live to Ari Louis. Ari, can you hear us?
I can. How are you guys today?
We're doing great. Thank you for being on the program. So much to talk about with you, so we'll jump right into it. Obviously, Penn State story, the biggest story in sports. They come down with the sanction. It's not the death penalty. It is, though, a $60 million fine, which the money will go to charity, 4-year ban on playoffs, including bowls, and a reduction of scholarships from 25 to 15. Any players who want to transfer can do so without a penalty. What is the feeling on the ground in Penn State? Do they feel this penalty is just? Should it be a little harder? Should it be less? What are the thoughts out there?
I think in general, most people in this area believe that it's appropriate. I think that, they did everything that they probably should have done. I mean, I was thinking that, they would lose the bowls. I was thinking they would lose money. They would lose television revenue and all that. I didn't predict the vacating of the win from Joe Paterno. That was kind of a shock to me.
Right.
Now, what was that, Ari?
No, I just agree with you. I don't like that at all, because I can't stand when they do that in college sports, when they take away wins, because they don't refund the money of the people who paid to see the games. You were basically saying the game never happened, never counted. Well, then refund everybody's money, and you're not going to do that. So I say once the game is played and it happens, you got to let it count no matter what the situation is.
Yeah, I think you've seen similar situations in college football. You look at what what happened to USC a few years ago, where they vacated some victories. I mean, yeah, okay, on paper they can vacate it, but people know those games still happen, and people know that Joe Paterno really was the winningest coach of all time. Now, he's looked at a little bit differently because of everything that's going on, so I think that was the idea, that they didn't want to have this guy who was behind this whole scandal and this whole child abuse scandal, that they wouldn't want him to be the winningest coach of all time. I think that's the idea behind that. Now, you asked about the reaction. The Penn State people, like the alums, the current students, the former football players, of course they are not happy, and they do not agree with what the NCAA did. They feel like that the NCAA should not have even done anything, that this matter was handled in the courts, and everybody that was involved is now gone from the university, and they're starting over, and the NCAA should not have stepped in. So that's pretty much as expected, especially the current Penn State students, who a lot were interviewed and saying that they just took away their entire school pride, their entire school spirit by doing this. But I don't think they're really understanding what's going on and why this needed to be done. But I personally think that this was the right thing to do. I think this hurts Penn State, but at the same time it allows them a chance to rebuild the proper way with new head coach Bill O'Brien.
Now, the statue came down as well of Joe Paterno. I'm curious, are there pro-Joe Paterno people at this point? Anyone saying that he's innocent or he doesn't deserve this type of flack on his legacy?
I don't think that people are saying that he's innocent, because I think at this point people know he should have done more. It's not like he was with Sandusky when Sandusky was doing all this stuff. I think people feel that he should have done more. But if you get, former players and current players and fans and people close to the program, I feel like that taking the statue down and vacating these wins are kind of doing a wrong to the late Joe Paterno, in that he was a great football coach, which he was. He was a great football coach, and he really did a lot for this program. So I think people don't think that he is innocent, but I think that stepping on Joe Paterno's legacy, like the way the NCAA and the way Penn State is doing with taking down the statue, I think that might be going a little too far. That's what people think. I feel like the statue needed to come down because that's a symbol of the past that represents what went on. So I think they needed to get rid of it for now. It's not like they blew up the statue. They put it in storage. They can always bring it back out if they want to, but for now I think it did need to come down.
Now, there was talk about a potential death penalty for the football program. That didn't happen. How close were we to seeing Penn State go on the death penalty?
From what I'm hearing, they were pretty close. And I think that the current president, Rodney Erickson, who's the new president taking over for Graham Spanier, who's now gone, who was, involved in this whole cover-up situation, I think he talked to the NCAA before they came down with the penalties, basically asking not to have the death penalty on this situation and just do whatever else they needed to do. I think the death penalty would have been a little too harsh. I know I came on the show and said, maybe they do deserve it, but, thinking about it now, I feel like they probably didn't, and I think this was the correct penalty, but they may have been pretty close to getting that death penalty.
All right, now, as we discuss off air, it won't be all Penn State stuff. Let's go to baseball. Some big moves since the last time we spoke. Ichiro Suzuki, a Mariner legend, next to Ken Griffey Jr., Alex Rodriguez, maybe the best Mariner of all time, Hall of Famer in my opinion, an MVP winner, Rookie of the Year winner, and all those hits. And he goes to the Yankees. So he had a bad divorce with the Mariners, it looks like. What was the kind of final straw? I mean, I know the Mariners have been bad for a long, long time. Did Ichiro just have enough of it and want to have a chance to win a World Series with the New York Yankees?
Well, I think that's only fair for a guy like Ichiro. He's stuck in Seattle. He signed contracts with them, stayed with them, and they thought that they were going to make a big move. They made some big signings. I remember them when they signed Eric Bedard and they brought up Felix Hernandez for the first time, and they made some other type of signings. They recently signed Sean Figgins. That didn't work out, and I think that they've made as many moves as they could based on where they're located, and they are somewhat of a small market team. And I think they owe Ichiro the shot to win a World Series, and I think the Yankees have a good shot. I know Alex Rodriguez just went down with that broken hand, and he's out 6 to 8 weeks, so that changes things a little bit. But I think it's good for Ichiro to get a shot, and I think that Ichiro was tired of being in a place where they just were not 100% committed to winning, and I think Seattle needed to kind of start fresh and get some prospects and maybe start over to build up maybe potentially a winner in like 3, 4, 5 years from now. So I think it's good for Ichiro. Obviously, as a Philadelphia fan, I never want to see the New York teams do well,
right.
But I think it is a good move for the Yankees.
Absolutely, and I would certainly be happy to see Ichiro get his chance to get back in the playoffs. He was in the playoffs in 2001 and was the only Mariner who played well in the ALCS against the Yankees and hasn't been to the postseason since. Another big move, Dodgers make a huge gamble and make the trade for Hanley Ramirez. They don't give up that much. The main thing, they have to pay the rest of Hanley's contract. Hanley's not had a good year, especially his on-base percentage, has attitude problems. Do you think the Dodgers are taking too much of a risk? I know they're 2.5 back of the Giants. They want to make some type of a push, some move, but was this the correct move for L.A.?
Well, I think it was a good move. I think it was a bold move for them. They are, on the verge of making the playoffs. They're battling with the San Francisco Giants for the division, although it looks like whoever does not win that division will probably end up with one of the wild cards. That's the way it stands now. I think it's a good move for them. I think they could have used a shortstop. I know that there was talks that Jimmy Rollins may be heading to the Dodgers from Philly, but I think that this was a good move for them. I think Hanley will feed off of the success that the Dodgers are having. They have some other good players there, like Matt Kemp and Andre Ethier, and they have a pretty good pitching staff. Not a great pitching staff, but a pretty good pitching staff, especially with Clayton Kershaw, last year's Cy Young winner. So I think the situation for him in Miami was just not good. He was forced to move over to third base to make room for Jose Reyes. He's had disagreements with Ozzie Guillen, and I think it just wasn't working out, and I think it was the right move for both teams. So we'll see if it works out for the Dodgers.
All right, and another big move. Your team involved a $144 million contract for Cole Hamels. I don't know if I agree if it's worth it or not because you don't know sometimes where you're going to get out of Cole, as far as at least in the postseason when he made those comments that he wanted the World Series to be over. But I could be wrong. I mean, he is in the league leaders in strikeouts pretty much year in, year out. So what did you think of the deal of your ball club locking up Cole Hamels?
Well, it's interesting what's being discussed right now on Philadelphia Sports Talk Radio. Me personally, I love the move. I love having Cole Hamels now under contract. And you talk about that 1 year, that was 2009. That was really his only bad year. I think really since 06, 07, when Cole Hamels came up with the team, I think he's really been one of the best pitchers that we've had, other than Howdy and Lee, who we've recently acquired over the last couple of years. He's been an All-Star 3 times. In the last 2 years, he's been an All-Star. World Series MVP. He was basically the main reason, along with Brad Lidge, that the Phillies won the World Series back in 2008. So to have him locked up now that he's in the prime of his career, he'll be with the team until he's 34, 35 years old. I think it's a really good move, especially because Willie Holiday and Cliff Lee are not getting any younger. And when their contracts expire and when they're older, Hamels will still have 4 more years left or so with the team. So I think it's a good move. Now, some other people around Philly are saying that we should have traded him to the Texas Rangers to get several prospects and kind of rebuild the team. But, again, that would have left the big hole in the starting rotation, especially after Halladay and Lee are gone. So I personally like the move. I'm glad they got it done. And I think that, this gives Philly fans something to look forward to in future seasons, especially because 2012 really hasn't gone the way we thought it would.
Yeah, certainly has not. Now, let's stay with baseball. A story outside of the field, off-field. Cal Ripken's mother was abducted, and she's now okay. So can you give us some details? Was this kind of a situation where they knew who she was, that she was Cal Ripken's mother, and were trying to extort money out of the legendary baseball player?
Yeah, I don't really know too much about this story. The things that we've been focusing on here in Philly obviously has been Cole Hamels. I heard this in passing, and I don't really know too much about this information. My feeling is that they probably knew who she was. I mean, usually when there's a kidnapping, it's a targeted kidnapping. People do their research, unless it's just one crazy person who just kind of loses it and just grabs somebody out of the street, which could be the case, but I feel like it could have been calculated. But honestly, Ari, I'm not really too familiar with the story. I just heard it briefly this morning.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we're certainly happy that she is safe, and those people should, go to jail for life if it was up to me. Kidnappers, it's one of the worst crimes out there. So, but I am glad she's safe and safe and well. Let's go to the Olympics now. A lot to talk about there. First, there was a member of the Greek team who made some racist comments through Twitter, and she's now going to be banned for joining the games, partly because the Greek team is concerned about sponsorship, losing sponsorship. So I'm having a hard time pronouncing her name. My Greek is not so good, but basically her last name is Papachonazo or something. I can't say it correctly. I don't have the accent. I don't know if you noticed. But what are your thoughts about someone being kicked off an Olympic team for comments on Twitter?
Well, I think that's a little bit harsh. I think people need to realize that Twitter exists, and it's kind of the new thing, and I think, maybe punished. I don't know that kicked off the team. I mean, I don't know how good she was, but I'm not familiar with the Greek team. This is another story I just heard in passing. But, I mean, Twitter comments, you just need to take it with a grain of salt. I mean, it's not really a big deal. I know people make a big deal about Twitter comments, but I mean, just get over it. It's just people ranting. It's a short little rant. And I think, maybe a slap on the wrist, a fine. I don't know how it would work. But to get kicked off an Olympic team for Twitter comments, I don't know. I think it's a little bit too far, in my opinion.
It's weird because the comments were mean, but she did apologize for it. And my thinking is she trained for these moments for 4 years. So to be kicked off because of that for one stupid comment, I don't know if it's worth it. Of course, if she would have insulted a group of Jews, I might have felt differently. I don't know. So I somewhat understand to some degree. Let's stay with the Olympics. They're still working on the IOC, or trying to convince the IOC to have a moment of silence for the Munich massacre that happened in 1972, 40 years ago in Berlin. In Munich. What do you think is going to happen at the end of the day with that?
That's a good question. I'm not really sure which way it would go. In my opinion, I think it's a good idea to have that. I think that this is it's important to remember what happened. Similar to with the Holocaust, where you say never again. It's very important to remember these things in order so they do not happen again. So I think for it to be recognized would be an important thing, for Israel, for Jews, and I think just for the world, just to have this recognized and people remember what happened again so it doesn't happen again. And in terms of what's going to happen, whether they are going to have it, it's hard for me to tell, but if I were making the decision, I would definitely have that moment of silence.
All right, and last question before we let you go. Funny story in the NFL. Carolina Panthers center Ryan Khalil, he doesn't just say this in an interview. He buys a full-page ad in a local paper, guaranteeing a Super Bowl victory. Of course, Cam Newton and company last year had probably surprising season. The year before, 1-15, were able to certainly get improvement to 6-10. I think it's a little crazy, though, to think the Panthers are going to win the Super Bowl next year. But do you like the enthusiasm of Ryan to really believe it so much that they actually bought an ad in their local paper?
Oh, I think that shows commitment. I don't know about Super Bowl this year, but I think Carolina certainly has a good shot at the playoffs. I mean, if you look at their division, and I think New Orleans, it'll be interesting to see what happens surrounding Bounty Gate. They'll be without Sean Payton, so that's going to take a hit, and Joe Bitt will be suspended for part of the season as well, and they lose a couple of key players as well. Drew Brees is back with a big contract. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in New Orleans. Atlanta, they should be pretty competitive. And Tampa Bay, who knows what you're going to get out of them, but I would say Carolina would be above them. So, we saw what happened last year with the New York Giants. They barely got in as the 9-7 NFC East champion, and they win the Super Bowl. So I feel like once you get in the playoffs, it's fair game. You look at Green Bay 2 years ago, they were the number 6 seed, and they ended up winning the whole thing. So I think if you get in the playoffs, you never know. And I think Carolina certainly has a good shot to win the division and potentially get one of the wild cards.
Absolutely. I think playoffs make sense to me. I wouldn't say Super Bowl, though. I think that's a bit of a stretch. But, hey, you never know. And if he goes to Super Bowl and they win it, the joke's on us. They'll be laughing at us, and Ryan will be right. All right, Ari, thank you for your time here on Louis Live and IsraelSportsRadio.com. We'll be in touch and look forward to having you on the next time.
Great. Thanks a lot.
All right, be well. All right, that was our Philadelphia insider, Ari Bluestein, here on Louis Live on Israel Sports Radio. We're going to take a break, and on the other side will be Jim Williams from the Washington Examiner. I want to remind everybody to check out our store by clicking on the store tab. Great items such as T-shirts, hats, and much, much more. That's the store tab on IsraelSportsRadio.com, and this is Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
The All Sports Talk Network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
This is Tamar Cass, and you're listening to Israel Sports Radio.
Shalom from the United States. I'm Gina Pitts.
Parrish Graham.
Mike Pitts.
Roosevelt Hall.
Mike Roy.
We're your friends from the Pro Sports Lives radio show on WAFS Biz 1190 AM. You're listening to Louis Live.
Broadcasting live from Israel.
IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Sports Drain Seat Seat, Compression Fit, UV Protection, Moisture Wicking, Anti-Odor, and Physique Enhancing. Certified by the Circle K. Sports Drain is a revolutionary seat garment that features high-performance properties and a compression fit, offering the wearer ultimate comfort and style for sports and everyday wear. Custom logos and team jerseys are available. For orders, please visit TamirGoodman.com. That's TamirGoodman.com.
Broadcasting live from Jerusalem, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Support Barak Netanya, Israeli professional basketball team, as they give back to the children of Netanya through Netanya Hoops for Kids. Netanya Hoops for Kids serves all of the children of Netanya, especially the ones that need us most. Through basketball clinics held by professional players, at-risk children learn life skills like teamwork, communication, discipline, and community responsibility from real-life heroes. Netanya Hoops for Kids partners with the municipality, schools, and local nonprofits to bring thousands of children to basketball games each season. Join us as a donor, partner, or fan. One city, one team, one family. www.netanyahoopsforkids.org.
The biggest names in sports are all on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
DJ Venom. DJ Venom. DJ Venom. DJing parties throughout Israel. Birthday parties, weddings, club events, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, and much more. You pick the type of music, and DJ Venom will turn your event to the party of the year. Available Sunday through Thursday. Call 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. That's 052-952-6506. Or email djvenom1984 at yahoo.com. Book your party today. That's DJ Venom.
This is Dimitri Salita, and you're listening to IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Building love of Israel, one sports fan at a time. IsraelSportsRadio.com. You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
This is Tamar Cass, and you're listening to Israel Sports Radio.
Shalom from the United States. I'm Gina Pitts.
Parrish Graham.
Mike Pitts.
Roosevelt Hall.
Mike Roy.
We're your friends from the Pro Sports Lives radio show on WAFS Biz 1190 AM. You're listening to Louis Live.
Broadcasting live from Israel. IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Sports Drain Seat C, compression fit, UV protection, moisture wicking, anti-odor, and physique enhancing. Certified by the Circle K. Sports Drain is a revolutionary seat garment that features high performance properties and a compression fit, offering the wearer ultimate comfort and style for sports and everyday wear. Custom logos and team jerseys are available. For orders, please visit TamirGoodman.com. That's TamirGoodman.com.
Broadcasting live from Jerusalem, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Support Barak Netanya, Israeli professional basketball team, as they give back to the children of Netanya through Netanya Hoops for Kids. Netanya Hoops for Kids serves all of the children of Netanya, especially the ones that need us most. Through basketball clinics held by professional players, at-risk children learn life skills like teamwork, communication, discipline, and community responsibility from real-life heroes. Netanya Hoops for Kids partners with the municipality, schools, and local nonprofits to bring thousands of children to basketball games each season. Join us as a donor, partner, or fan. One city, one team, one family. www.netanyahoopsforkids.org.
The biggest names in sports are all on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
DJ Venom. DJ Venom. DJ Venom. DJing parties throughout Israel. Birthday parties, weddings, club events, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, and much more. You pick the type of music, and DJ Venom will turn your event into the party of the year. Available Sunday through Thursday. Call 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984 at yahoo.com. That's 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984 at yahoo.com. Book your party today. That's DJ Venom.
This is Dimitri Salita, and you're listening to IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Building love of Israel, one sports fan at a time. IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Back here on Louis Live and IsraelSportsRadio.com. Our thanks to Ari Louis. We're now going to dial up Jim Williams from the Washington Examiner, and want to remind everyone to check out our store by clicking on the store tab on Israel Sports Radio. Great items such as T-shirts, hats, and much, much more. That's the store tab on IsraelSportsRadio.com. We're now going to go live to Jim Williams. Jim, can you hear us?
Hi, Ari. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. It's a pleasure to have on now.
Very entertaining show today.
Oh, thank you very much. And it's a pleasure to have on now from the Washington Examiner, Jim Williams. And I spoke with Ari Bluestein about the Penn State situation. Want to get your thoughts on it. Just to clarify for the audience that's joining us, it is a 4-year ban on playoffs, bowls, reduction of scholarships of 25 to 15, and there is a $60 million fine that will go to charities to help victims of abuse. Very close to the death penalty. They don't get that. They get a lighter sentence. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, the death penalty is only a year. So they would have suspended the football program for a year. This, in some regards, while it isn't as bad as the death penalty, is more crippling than the death penalty in so much as the scholarship aspect of it
for all intents and purposes, Penn State will not be competitive for 8 years to a decade.
Wow. Okay, so it's that serious of a situation. Also,
Yeah.
part of the penalty is allowing players to leave Penn State without a transfer, a fee, if you will, of sitting out a year. Why would players stay on Penn State and not go to another school after everything that's happened?
Well, if you're a senior, practice starts in less than 2 weeks. So it's kind of, unless you're a running back or perhaps an offensive lineman, something like that, and you're a top-tier player and you really just want to go make a quick run. For instance, I know that, SC is making a play for a couple of their running backs at Penn State. They're openly recruiting them because they're allowed to do so. If you are, however, a senior and you simply don't think that between now and remember that the first football game of the season is about a month away.
Right.
So it's going to be difficult if you're a Penn State player to, acclimate yourself to a system. So if you're a senior, you're likely to stay there. If you are, an underclassman, well then, they're getting acclimated into a system. A new system is not as difficult, and therefore the opportunity of getting things taken care of is much easier. So it's most likely that will be the something that they'll be able to deal with in that regard. So yeah, those folks will likely be able to leave and play somewhere else. So seniors most likely will stay. Unless they're, as I say, running backs, perhaps some of the offensive linemen, people who like a quarterback or a wide receiver, something like that. There's way too much of a playbook to learn, in an incredibly short period of time.
Now, the statue, as already mentioned, wasn't broken or crushed. It was taken down. It was moved somewhere else in a storage facility. I mean, is there any way the statue could go back up at some point? Are people just going to forgive everything that happened with Joe Paterno?
Well, there's a couple of things. One, remember that the 111 victories were vacated.
Right.
So Paterno is no longer the the winningest coach of all time. Very clearly, Penn State did not want this. They want to get this behind them, and they should. This was an absolutely horrific situation. Okay, clearly they need to get it behind them. Coach Paterno, the statue was disassembled, and it will be likely given to either the Paterno estate. It could be very well given to the Paterno, a group of boosters who want to put it in a library or some sort of building that would be, dedicated to Penn State through Paterno. It won't be on campus. It will likely be somewhere in State College, Pennsylvania, in some sort of building that Paterno himself or the Paterno family has been involved with, the charity or something along those lines. So the statue will likely be reassembled and likely be seen somewhere in the greater State College area. That one. I've been told by 4 or 5 people that's a pretty good chance.
Okay, so it still could go somewhere at the end of the day, maybe not Penn State, but
not on campus.
Not on campus, right. Okay, but it could go somewhere else. Let's move on to Major League Baseball. Some big free agent signings since the last time you've been on. First of all, trades. Ichiro Suzuki goes to the Yankees, so he'll have a chance to win a World Series. I believe he has not been in the postseason since 2001 when the Mariners lost the Yankees in 5 games in the ALCS. basically, I understand the Mariners having to part ways with him, but why the Yankees? Couldn't they send him to another team? They wouldn't have to play maybe in the National League. Why at the end of the day did he go to the Yankees?
Well, I think basically the point that you had at the first part of it was that they wanted to give him a chance to be with a contender and to win a playoff, a title. Obviously, if you're not a Yankees fan, and they're, a lot of the Mariners are not, you clearly can't fathom why, this whole thing happened under the circumstance. Remember too that, ironically, the Mariners ate a sizable portion of Ichiro's contract in order to get a couple of better prospects from the Yankees. So I honestly believe that the Mariners could have done better on the open market if they'd have known, if people would have known that Ichiro were, I'll give you a team right off the, no pun intended, right off the bat. I would say that the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pirates would have jumped all over Ichiro and probably given them better prospects. So I don't know. I mean, I was scratching my head about that one. Not that Ichiro would have been, not that Ichiro should have been given the opportunity, as has been the case in a number of different sports where a team, makes a trade to give a player a chance to be involved in postseason after they've served them for so many years and done well. This time around, it's a bit of a head scratcher because they literally helped the Yankees out.
It reminds me of the Jeff Nelson trade about 10 years ago. Jeff Nelson was ripping apart Mariners franchise for not making any trades. Then they trade him, and he says, they tell him in the dugout, you've been traded. He said, really, where? And they said the Yankees. And he just kind of laughs because he can't fathom the move, even though it's good for him personally. So that's what happened is here. Ichiro will have a chance to win a World Series. Ichiro, though, even if he does not win the World Series, he's a Hall of Famer, in your opinion, right?
Oh, yeah. I think that Ichiro in two, if you put together the amount of hits Ichiro had, it's over 5,000 hits in the Japanese League and in the American League. So Ichiro, tremendous fielder, tremendous, leadoff hitter. He had it all, stolen bases. I mean, there's no question that Ichiro is a quality player, and even though he's on the downturn of his career, he's still very capable of, making a team better by, having them on, him on their side.
It's interesting. Only the Yankees could have two of the best players of all time of another franchise in both A-Rod and Ichiro. So just something I want to point out the embarrassment of riches on the New York Yankees and still have a comfortable.
And both of them played on the same, Seattle team.
Right. So, only the Yankees could do that. They have a comfortable league in the AL East. Another big trade. Dodgers go after Miami Marlins. Hanley Ramirez, get him. They don't really give up that much to get him, in my opinion. Give him a couple of prospects, but they are taking a bit of a gamble. His numbers have not been that good the last 2 years. They were excellent before that period. Won a batting title, of course, with the Marlins. Do you think this is a smart move? This is a bit of a gamble? Too much of a gamble, perhaps, for the LA Dodgers.
No, I think it's a very wise move on their part. It's a low risk, high reward situation. I mean, if he plays or is a bit of a knucklehead, you just sit him down or you release him. There really isn't nothing that they can lose from it. And a change of scenery, we've seen it happen before. I mean, a change of scenery for a guy of his talent. You never know. I mean, he could bounce back, and if he does, I mean, that's the kind of a bat that when you, go up against the Giants later as this, season continues to move on, it certainly doesn't hurt the Dodgers. So I do believe it was a low, risk, high reward situation, and it clearly proves to anybody who was doubting it that Jeffrey Loria, and the Miami Marlins are a fraud. And, they're into a fire sale. they purported, oh boy, we're here for the long run. Well, guess what? Here we go again.
Yeah,
we're getting rid of players.
They could get a nice big bump if Hanley could perform. Perhaps in a pennant race with Sparka, playing with some great players being protected in that lineup, and they're only a few games back in the Giants, so they're going to have a chance to catch him and get the NL West crown. Let's go to the Phillies now. Ask Ari Bluesteiner, Philadelphia Insider, about this. Cole Hamels' big $143 million contract. He is generally in the top of pitching categories past couple of seasons. Do you think it's too much money, though, for Cole Hamels if you're a Phillies fan?
Oh, gosh. What's too much these days? I mean, Cole Hamels is the best pitcher the Phillies have. It's that simple. They could not afford to lose him. And so, if they realized on an open market that as crazy as it sounds, he probably could have gotten more money.
Really?
So
okay.
They didn't want to put him out on the open market, and they figured that, he is the best pitcher we have, and he's also, young and still has plenty of years to go, and so they bit, the bullet and decided to sign the contract and keep him as part of the Phillies organization. You can't, had he gotten away, it would have been a PR nightmare as well. So, the Phillies have the money to do it, so they went ahead and pulled it off. And as I said, he is their best pitcher, and I would think that the Phillies, the fans and alike, would want Cole Hamels to be in a Philly uniform as long as possible.
All right, and staying with Major League Baseball, we know that you're closer to this story and could give us some insight. Cal Ripken's mother was apparently kidnapped. She's now safe and sound, but do the authorities know why this occurred? If they knew this was Cal Ripken's mother, were they trying to extort Cal Ripken for money or anything like that? Do you have can you give us more insight on the story of Cal Ripken's mother?
I really don't. Not a lot of details have come out about it. I think that it might have been a situation of someone thinking that they might have, that doing this was a good idea, and then all of a sudden realizing, maybe this isn't such a good idea. And so it was one of those, situations where a crime was committed, but, was quickly decided that it wasn't a wise thing to do, so they move forward with it. I'm just certainly happy that Mrs. Ripken is fine and that it's all, all is good. But it could very well have been a bad situation. It was, in this case, a lapse of judgment by someone who, felt that this was a good way to perhaps get some money out of the Ripken family.
Okay, so it sounds like that they kind of realized what they were doing is wrong and gave up, turned in, if you will, and went a different direction, which is...
they did not want to get themselves into what would have been a terrific situation from a standpoint of them getting horrific, is what I meant to say, not terrific. Horrific situation where they're, holding... Cal's mother, and God forbid she had a heart attack or something. I mean, any number of things could have happened, and none of them would have been good. And I think that this is one of those things where the plan sounded like a good plan when they executed it, but once they had Mrs. Ripken, they realized perhaps this was not a wise thing to do.
All right, we'll speak with Jim Williams from the Washington Examiner, and we have some light shine on that story. Let's now go on to the Olympics. There is a member of the Greek team who was kicked off for making an inappropriate Twitter remark, a racist remark, and wanted to get your thoughts about if this was fair, if this was a little bit too much. The remark on Twitter was very, very nasty. I'm going to just read it for the audience just joining us here. It said, with so many Africans in Greece, at least the West Nile mosquitoes will eat homemade food. So certainly a very vicious comment, and the punishment also intense, and that she's not going to participate in the Olympics in London. So she's 23 years old. Want to get your thoughts on it.
Well, I think I think that that's the right thing to do. I think that the Olympics have made a concerted effort to show that their goal is to that this is a supposedly a collegial atmosphere, and an atmosphere where the only competition is that on the field, and not in any way, shape, or form is it a competition or an area where you are, able to spew racist remarks. And I think that that was, something well done on the Olympic side.
Yeah, the Olympics is supposed to be a place where everyone from the world is getting together, playing sports, showing kind of in peace and harmony. So certainly not in the spirit to do that. And later, before we let you go, we'll get your thoughts on the potential moment of silence. But want to get your thoughts going to the NFL. Panthers center Ryan Khalil, not only did he guarantee a Super Bowl victory, he bought an ad in a local paper, so he's putting his money where his mouth is. Now, the Panthers were 6-10 last season. Year before that, 1-15. So if they go up another 5 wins, that's 11 wins. I mean, I think they'll get in the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win a Super Bowl. But do you like the confidence? I mean, at this point, I think a lot of fans, when they hear a player or coach guarantee something, they don't put much stock into it. I don't think it's the same as Joe Namath when he guaranteed and actually won. A lot of coaches, players have guaranteed stuff, and it hasn't happened. So what are your thoughts about this guarantee from Ryan Khalil?
I think from a public relations standpoint, he's got nothing to lose by doing it. I would hope, frankly, that when my team comes to camp, whether they are, whether I'm a coach or whether I'm a player or whatever, that the first thing they out of their mouth is, anything less than a Super Bowl, and we're not satisfied. And so I applaud his enthusiasm. I agree with you. I don't think it's going to happen, but I applaud his enthusiasm. And as you say, he put his money where his mouth is by buying a full-page ad in the Charlotte Observer. So, hey, it's all in good fun. And I think that it fires up the fan base, and it shows that he's, enthusiastic about the future of the Panthers. And, while it may not be spot on, at least they're showing some, he's showing some leadership and some guts and saying, look, this is what I think we can do.
All right, and speaking with Jim Williams again for the Washington Examiner, I kind of like the move because not everyone is going to pick the Panthers at 6-10 to get to the Super Bowl and win it. But if he is bringing some confidence to the ball club, I actually do like the move. Yeah. Now we'll go back to Major League Baseball. Hideki Matsui, speaking of Yankees, a former Yankee, former World Series MVP back in 2009 against the Phillies, cut by the Tampa Bay Rays. Is this pretty much it for Godzilla? When he first came to the Yankees, people made such a big deal out of him. I don't think his career was as great as the hype, and he could be done, could be out of Major League Baseball. Will he bounce back with another team, in your opinion?
I don't think so. I think that Tampa Bay, again, low risk, high reward situation. Their goal was to get somebody with some pop in the bat. He was batting under 200, if I'm not mistaken, and hadn't really hit too many home runs. And They meaning Tampa Bay, they're in that precipice where they need to make a move to get a bat, and so they're gonna go out and see what they can do. They've got pitching, and they've certainly got the depth in the minor leagues to go out and find a suitable trading partner. So they needed the space on the roster, so I think that, times like this, you started designating for assignment some players, some of whom you're sorry to get rid of. I know that, for instance, the Nationals were sorry to have to get rid of guys like Rick Ankiel and Xavier Nady, two players who, frankly, can help other teams, and I think, will be signed by the end of the week by other clubs. And, in the Tampa Bay situation, you designate for assignment Hideki Matsui, who they had hoped would help them. And on a couple of games, to be fair, he did. He hit some home runs that won some games for them, but not enough, and he wasn't making contact with the ball. And so, they could not. And obviously, he can't play the field anymore. So they needed to designate it for assignment to give them roster space so that they could make some moves. So, no, I do not think that Hideki Matsui will play again, and the career of Godzilla is at least in the American League over.
All right, and Boy, it seems like the Yankees really involved a lot with this interview. But going back to the Yankees, Alex Rodriguez injures his hand, and he'll be out of the lineup for a while. What is the latest status with him? When do the Yankees expect him back to the ball club?
Well, they haven't put him on a 15-day disabled list, so I assume that they expect him back in the next, week or so. I mean, they'll probably be fine for a week or so while he gets healthy. They just went in and got whacked by Oakland. I mean, Oakland took 3 games from them, and I think that they got a reality check that there are some teams out there. Because remember, they played Anaheim and beat them, but they haven't played Texas recently. They haven't played some of the hotter teams in the American League, and so it'll be interesting to see how that goes, because I'm still not sold that they've got the pitching to make it, and I think that we're going to see if they make a move before the end of the trade deadline. But we'll see. I mean, that Texas team, the Anaheim team, the Oakland team, even we're looking at Detroit and that whole situation. It's going to be a wild finish in both the National and the American League, and one that's going to be very entertaining. There's no question about it.
All right, and last question before we let you go. The IOC is, at this point, it looks like there's not going to be a moment of silence for the Munich massacre that happened to the Israeli team in 1972. We're going to speak with Tamar Katz in the next segment more about this in detail, but what is something that's holding this up, or what is the likeliness we're going to get a moment of silence at the end of the day?
I was under the impression, at least from what I understood, that they were going to do a moment of silence, and it was going to come at the Athletes' Village, and it was going to come at a time when they were getting ready to address the athletes about the moral code of being an athlete in the Olympic Village. So basically, it's a time when Jacques Roger, the head of the International Olympic Committee, in essence welcomes all the athletes and gives them a 5 to 10 minute speech on the importance of the games and the importance of being true Olympic athletes. My understanding was they were going to give a moment of silence during that opportunity, and unless they've changed that, that's what my understanding was.
Okay, great. So if that's what's going to happen, I just noticed because I saw.
I'll listen and find out for
Tamar Katz.
Even next guest. But that was my understanding of how it was going to be taken care of. That it was, and that sounded to me like an appropriate place to do it. I mean, when you're honoring the past athletes and you're welcoming in the new athletes on the spirit of what the games are all about, that seemed to me to be I hate to use the term compromise, but we're dealing with the IOC, so everything is a compromise.
Right.
That seemed to me to be at least, it may not have been perfect, but it seemed to at least be appropriate.
So we'll find out more details of what's going to go on exactly.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit back and listen myself.
Yeah, so we'll find out for Tamar Katz in a few minutes. But Jim, pleasure as always. Thank you for being on Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Oh, my pleasure.
All right, Jim, be well out there. We'll speak to you next week.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. That was Jim Williams from the Washington Examiner. As mentioned, Tamar Katz will be coming on in a few minutes. We'll get more details because the latest I heard was they were not going to have the moment of silence. Now it sounds like they may. We'll find out for sure in a few minutes. So thanks to Jim Williams and Tamar Katz on the other side, the lovely and talented Tamar Katz. This is Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
This is Tamar Katz, and you're listening to Israel Sports Radio.
Shalom from the United States. I'm Gina Pitts.
Parrish Graham.
Mike Pitts.
Roosevelt Hall.
Mike Roy.
We're your friends from the Pro Sports Lives radio show on WAFS Biz 1190 AM. You're listening to Louis Live.
Broadcasting live from Israel.
IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Sports Strain CC, compression fit, UV protection, moisture wicking, anti-odor, and physique enhancing. Certified by the Circle K. Sports Strain is a revolutionary CC garment that features high-performance properties and a compression fit, offering the wearer ultimate comfort and style for sports and everyday wear. Custom logos and team jerseys are available. For orders, please visit TamirGoodman.com. That's TamirGoodman.com.
Broadcasting live from Jerusalem. IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Support Barak Netanya, Israeli professional basketball team, as they give back to the children of Netanya through Netanya Hoops for Kids. Netanya Hoops for Kids serves all of the children of Netanya, especially the ones that need us most. Through basketball clinics held by professional players, at-risk children learn life skills like teamwork, communication, discipline, and community responsibility from real-life heroes. Netanya Hoops for Kids partners with the municipality, schools, and local nonprofits to bring thousands of children to basketball games each season. Join us as a donor, partner, or fan. One city, one team, one family. www.netanyahoopsforkids.org.
The biggest names in sports are all on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJing parties throughout Israel, birthday parties, weddings, club events, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, and much more. You pick the type of music, and DJ Venom will turn your event into the party of the year. Available Sunday through Thursday. Call 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. That's 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. Book your party today. That's DJ Venom.
This is Dimitri Salita, and you're listening to IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Building love of Israel, one sports fan at a time. IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Back here on Louis Live and IsraelSportsRadio.com. Our thanks to Jim Williams from the Washington Examiner and Ari Bluestein on the previous segment before Jim. And our next guest, I'll say it like this. There are those that are lovely. There are those that are talented. But very few have the combination together. And that is the combination of our next guest. She's a two-time Israeli figure skating champion. Oh, okay, sorry. Our intern is telling us we're going to try that phone number again. But if we don't get her now, we'll take a break and then try to get her on the other side. But basically, there aren't a lot of people that have both those qualities, and she's very talented and very lovely. We've had her on the program a few times. Actually, if you listen close enough to our promo, you can hear that she is on the commercial towards the beginning. We're going to take a break. We're trying to get her. Looks like we're having some difficulty with her line. Please stay with us. She's going to give us some breaking news on the situation with the IOC and the moment of silence for the Israeli team in 1972. So hold on. This is Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
This is Tamar Cass, and you're listening to Israel Sports Radio.
Shalom from the United States. I'm Gina Pitts.
Parrish Graham.
Mike Pitts.
Roosevelt Hall.
Mike Roy.
We're your friends from the Pro Sports Lives radio show on WAFS Biz 1190 AM. You're listening to Louis Live.
Broadcasting live from Israel.
IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Sports Strain CC, compression fit, UV protection, moisture wicking, anti-odor, and physique enhancing. Certified by the Circle K. Sports Strain is a revolutionary CC garment that features high-performance properties and a... Okay, sorry to end the commercial there. I believe we have got her number. We're going to try her right now. and I will get in touch with Tamar hopefully in a few moments. Want to remind everyone to check out our store by clicking on the store tab on IsraelSportsRadio.com. Great items such as T-shirts, hats, books, much more. Hello, Tamar. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Hi, Tamar.
Hi, hold on.
Hi, okay.
Hold on one second.
Sure.
Hello?
Hi, Tamar. This is Ari Louis. You're live on IsraelSportsRadio.com. Long time no speak. How have you been? The fans want to know how's school going. How's everything been?
Hey, so nice to hear from you guys. Things are great. Actually, interning right now at the New York Observer.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you're doing an internship right now.
Yes, so I'm doing it at a newspaper, and actually I have all my interns listening in on the interview.
Oh, great. Okay, so
making fun of me.
So hi to all the interns out there listening. Thank you for joining us. So this internship is part of your program and in general for college.
It's not related. It's in New York City. Most of, for the summer, we're out for the summer, so I use this opportunity to, as most other students do, to get work experience. And this is wonderful because I get to be a journalist and actually be on the other end of things because now I interview athletes instead of being interviewed.
Is that a bit weird for you? You know, going from being an athlete to who's being interviewed, and then now you're on the other side. Is that a little strange for you?
Yeah, I have to remember that I need to not talk about myself.
Absolutely. Speak with Tamar Katz, the lovely and talented Tamar Katz. Now, you're at the University of Penn during the school year, correct?
Yeah.
And, of course, Penn State have that scandal right now. They've been having a lot of difficulty, fined $60 million. Has there been talk from the UPenn students about their crosstown rivals, if you will?
I think it's really funny that you mentioned Penn State because UPenn has a thing with Penn State that we don't want people to confuse the two.
Right.
And we don't really talk about Penn State because it's just like a stigma. We don't discuss it because it's like it's not UPenn. It's not my thing. It's just a UPenn thing.
Oh, so this was before the Joe Paterno scandal, you're saying?
We haven't UPenn kids don't really talk about Penn kids.
Oh, wow, okay.
Or Penn State kids. So it's like they're not that close to us either, or we don't really consider them our rivals in any way.
Okay.
Not to sound. It's just the way. It's just a thing at Penn.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. So that's actually pretty funny. All right, so there's not a lot of talk about that kind of. We don't talk about that. We're at a different level, different class.
A little bit.
No, I certainly understand. I feel that same way with Arizona State and other schools, because Arizona State's as I told you before, the Harvard of the Southwest. It's kind of at a high level. So, again, going to school, Harvard was my safety school, and I went to ASU, and we feel differently about other schools. Now, let's talk about your career, figure skating champion, of course, and Olympics, the Winter Olympics, I believe 2 years away. So what is the plan at this point? Are you still eyeing 2014?
It's actually been on my mind a lot since, London is here, and I keep watching Olympics everywhere, right? On my Twitter feed, online, I'll see the Olympics, and I can't say that my desire to come back hasn't been lit once again. So I'm at a crossroads. I don't really know what to do because to compete at that level, and of course this time, if I were to come back, I don't intend on anything else happening than me actually competing at the Olympics. For me to come back, it would have to be at a very high level, obviously, which would change my school status. So I've actually been having quite a few talks, and also aside from the schools, also the financial aspect. So two huge things that I have to consider if I were to make a comeback. But it's been on my mind for sure.
I remember when we first interviewed you, it was back January 2010, and we talked about the 2014 Olympics. It seemed like so long ago, but here we are halfway there, if you will, halfway the 4 years. So when do you have to make a final decision if you're going to compete in 2014?
So the Olympic qualification for the International Olympic Committee, not as you might recall, Israel has separate standards from the IOC, the National Olympic Committee. So the last qualifier in terms of international would be September 2013. Yes.
Okay, so that's the deadline there, so you have some time to decide. Have your classmates been supportive of you going in 2014? I mean, what have been their thoughts on the situation?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Sure. I just want to ask your classmates, have they gone supportive either way? Have they said, yeah, you should go for it in 2014, or have they said, no, just focus on your studies and other parts right now?
Well, my classmates think it's the coolest thing in the world. My parents, on the other hand, say, focus on your studies.
Right.
I'm definitely at a crossroads.
And when you're at school, do the kids still treat you like a regular college student, or is there kind of a bit of a celebrity thing going on where, people are asking for your autograph, taking pictures, that kind of stuff?
No. Well, most people actually don't know. And the ones that do know obviously want to talk about it. Then obviously my closest friends know about it, and they're my close friends, so we don't really talk about it anymore. So yeah, I just try to keep it quiet mostly.
Okay. We're speaking with the lovely and talented Tamara Katz, also, of course, UPenn student, but not Penn State. Don't confuse the two. Let's get into the big situation with the 2012 Olympics. The IOC still working on. We've talked about this on Israel Sports Radio for years about finally having a moment of silence for the Israelis who were killed in 1972 in the Munich massacre. Still has not happened in 40 years. What is the latest on the moment of silence for the Olympic Games?
Right now, it looks like it's not going to happen, unfortunately. And I actually contacted Ari, I think, about a week ago with the Facebook campaign that I was doing. I was just trying to disseminate the petition on change.org. So I signed it, and I had a bunch of friends signed it, and I think it's close to 100,000 signatures at the moment. There are two sides to this. Deep down in my heart, I don't believe that the signatures will change anything. And unfortunately, it's been 40 years without one silent moment. We've had 10 Olympic Games since Munich, 1972 Olympics, without one silent moment of remembrance. We had 11 Israeli athletes who were murdered in a terrorist attack, and no one from the Olympic Committee agrees to remember them. Olympics the Olympic spirit is getting mixed with politics, and I thought it was ironic that the head of the IOC, I don't recall his name, but the head said that he didn't want that the Olympics was supposed to be apolitical, but by choosing not to have a moment of silence, he automatically brought politics in. Whereas having a moment of silence, and I read the interview by one of the victims' wives. Spitzer, right? Am I correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
Anki Spitzer, right? Anki Spitzer. I read her interview, and just I was appalled, really. She made a very good statement to the fact that a moment of silence is not political; it's just silence.
Right.
But by choosing not to, he made it very political.
What is holding it up at this point? I mean, is there anti-Semitism, anti-Israel? I mean, what is the problem? It's a moment of silence. What is such the big deal about it?
I don't know if we could be extreme and say it's anti-Semitism. I think what it actually is that the IFC is afraid that the Arab delegations will leave the opening ceremony.
Oh wow.
Sorry?
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's part of the issue.
That's what I think is going on. So the assassination was not is not a private matter of the state of Israel. It's a brutal act that goes against what the Olympic Games are standing for, which is, if you look up the core values of the Olympics, the solidarity, competition, sport games of the best athletes, peace, fraternity. It's not politics, right? But it is politics now because he made it that way. He's afraid that by allowing it, the Arab delegations would leave, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do. So it would cause chaos in the opening ceremonies. So while I do understand his side, I think that he made the wrong decision and just made it worse.
What? Let's ask this. You've got over 100,000 signatures for the situation in a moment of silence. That's truly incredible. Are there signatures going the other way? Are there forces out there actively trying to stop this moment of silence?
It's a great question. I cannot say that I know that there are. If there are, then they're not active enough. Interestingly, the 100,000 signatures, and I do think this is very interesting to note, most of them and the momentum came from Jewish communities in the United States. It was the initiative of communities in the United States that really propelled this, not in Israel, which I found to be interesting. Not that Israelis are not supportive of this, I just feel they're maybe less active.
And does anyone know, I mean, I've had my own thoughts that in 1972, who was the head of his IOC was anti-Semitic, but does anyone know why there wasn't any type of moment of silence in the 72 games? In fact, my understanding is they did not even stop the games when the massacre happened of the 11 Israelis.
I don't know why, but it's true. What you say is true, and it should be noted that in the Vancouver game, the loser from Georgia, the athlete who died in the practice run, he was remembered during the games. I think in the opening ceremony he was remembered, and the Georgian team was wearing, I think, a specific garment to remember him, and they were allowed time to commemorate him. And also in the Salt Lake City games, for what happened in 9/11, there was the American flag from the World Trade Center was marched to the podium in silence, like during the opening ceremony. And then, ironically, we have nothing for the past 40 years. We had the 11 Israeli athletes who were brutally murdered, which is not only it's kind of it precludes the Salt Lake City and what happened in 2006, because not only is it terrorism, which is what 9/11 was about, but it's also about sports. So it's actually what everything in the Olympics is about. Commemorating that, having moments of silence for that, is crucial to maintaining the core values of what the Olympics stands for.
So there is a precedent for a moment of silence. It's certainly something that can be done. And I was with Andy on Monday. We were at the International Jewish Hall of Fame in Netanya, and it's dedicated to the 11 Israelis who were murdered in 1972. And I was saying to Andy, this has to be the worst thing that's ever happened in Jewish sports, or really sports ever, I think, in my opinion. I don't think it's really unprecedented to see something like that, to see 11 people murdered. I mean, can you think of something out there that is worse than that, sports-wise, in the sporting environment, than what happened in Munich in 1972?
Absolutely not. Not only that, it was totally public, right? So the head of the IOC took a moment of silence in front of like 30 or 40 people, but really there should be a moment of silence in the opening ceremony because it's in front of the whole world. And the murder was in front of the whole world. It wasn't in front of 30 or 40 people. So the commemoration should be equal to the murder. Maybe that's not the right way to say it. The murder was in front of the whole world, so you can't commemorate in front of 30 or 40 people. You have to commemorate in front of the entire world.
Right. No, well said. I think that should be done 100%, and I think certainly think that's the only way really to do it at this point. Let's ask you, what is the deadline as far as getting this done? Can something be done in the 11th hour to get this moment of silence in the opening ceremonies when the games begin in London? Not too far from now.
I don't think there is a clear deadline. I actually don't know. But honestly, putting in a moment of silence could happen in the last 5 minutes, because that's something for you to do. As long as nobody has started marching out, you can there's still hope.
Okay.
So I think everybody should continue fighting, should continue to put pressure until the 27th, which is 2 days away, for there to be a moment of silence. I really hope that there can be enough pressure. I don't think signing the petition or having any more signatures is going to help in the next couple of days. I think there has to be more pressure from higher power. So there's been pressure from certain countries. Obama and Mitt Romney have endorsed the moment, been for the moment of silence. We have several other countries, but way too few. If you think about how many countries participate in the Olympics compared to how many countries were for or openly stated that they were for the moment of silence, it's a very small fraction. So what I think needs to happen is more countries will stand up and be like, this moment of silence has to happen, but they're too afraid to do it, which is just a shame.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. To be fearful in this situation is just not the right thing to do. We're talking about standing up for 11 Israelis who were murdered in 1972. And as you mentioned, only 2 days away. But if they want to sign your petition, and you've got already over 100,000 signatures, truly incredible, how can they go, where can they go to sign this petition?
It's a change.org petition. So literally if you go to change.org and you type in, you can search for petitions, type in the 2012 London Olympics and Israel, I'm pretty sure it will come up. Even Google it and petition with a moment of silence for the Israeli 1972 Munich Olympians, and it will come up. And maybe another thing that would happen, maybe people have a large Twitter following, or celebrities who would tweet this. If they were to disseminate it, they have a large Twitter following, many fans. If they were to disseminate this, even athletes, Jewish athletes who have a large Twitter following would do this. It would help get the word out, because I feel like not enough people know about it.
Yeah, well, you're certainly doing a great job putting the word out there, and we just think it's great. And as I mentioned, 100,000 signatures, truly incredible. So hopefully this can be done before Friday. We can get the moment of silence. Everyone listening right now should go. If you haven't signed the petition, sign it already. So tomorrow we appreciate. Not only sign
it, put it on all your social media networks. Really promote it and try to get it to the right people that, from up above, in a sense, like the political superpowers. We could put enough pressure so that there would be a change.
Absolutely. Everyone should tell 2 or 3 friends at least to sign it. Let's get as many signatures as we can. There is power in numbers. The numbers can certainly conquer this travesty. It'd be like having a travesty again to not have a moment of silence. Now, before we let you go tomorrow, you're going to be in Israel around December. Is that the plan?
When I return to Israel?
Yeah.
Yeah, I should be back in December.
Okay, because we have to meet up. I still have to get that autographed picture from you.
I know, it's ridiculous. I told you, it was in the mail.
Yeah,
it's just Israeli mail.
Israeli mail, yeah, right. So you know how I never got it, so because it's Israeli mail. But
I could tell my mother to send another one, but I don't realize the only way that I can, for sure make sure you have it is to show up myself.
Right, exactly. That's if you can't to get it done, you got to do it yourself. Sometimes, as I say. So we'll have to do that to exchange the pictures, and we certainly appreciate your time here, Louis Live in Israel Sports Radio. Great work with the petition. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll be promoted on this show as well. Thank you so much, and we'll be in touch.
Absolutely, anytime. It's always my pleasure to come on your show.
Thank you so much, Tamara. Be well out there.
Thanks. Have a good one.
All right, bye. All right, that was the lovely and talented Tamar Katz here on Louis Live on Israel Sports Radio. Certainly appreciate her time. Everyone out there, please go sign the petition. This moment of silence is long overdue. Here's what we're going to do right now. We're going to take a break. On the other side, we'll wrap things up. This is Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
This is Tamar Katz, and you're listening to Israel Sports Radio.
Shalom from the United States. I'm Gina Pitts.
Parrish Graham.
Mike Pitts.
Roosevelt Hall.
Mike Roy.
We're your friends from the Pro Sports Lives radio show on WAFS Biz 1190 AM. You're listening to Louis Live.
Broadcasting live from Israel. IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Sports Drain Seat C, Compression Fit, UV Protection, Moisture Wicking, Anti-Odor, and Physique Enhancing. Certified by the Circle K. Sports Drains is a revolutionary Sitsi garment that features high-performance properties and a compression fit, offering the wearer ultimate comfort and style for sports and everyday wear. Custom logos and team jerseys are available. For orders, please visit TamirGoodman.com. That's TamirGoodman.com.
Broadcasting live from Jerusalem, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Support Barak Netanya, Israeli professional basketball team, as they give back to the children of Netanya through Netanya Hoops for Kids. Netanya Hoops for Kids serves all of the children of Netanya, especially the ones that need us most. Through basketball clinics held by professional players, at-risk children learn life skills like teamwork, communication, discipline, and community responsibility from real-life heroes. Netanya Hoops for Kids partners with the municipality, schools, and local nonprofits to bring thousands of children to basketball games each season. Join us as a donor, partner, or fan. One city, one team, one family. www.netanyahoopsforkids.org.
The biggest names in sports are all on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJing parties throughout Israel, birthday parties, weddings, club events, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, and much more. You pick the type of music, and DJ Venom will turn your event to the party of the year. Available Sunday through Thursday. Call 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. That's 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. Book your party today. That's DJ Venom.
This is Dimitri Salita, and you're listening to IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Building love of Israel, one sports fan at a time. IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Back here on Louis Live to wrap things up, and we just got some great news from Jim Williams regarding Bob Costas. He will have a moment of silence on the NBC broadcast, and will tell the American audience he is doing it despite the IOC refusal. Again, that is at this point, there is an IOC refusal, and 40 million people are going to hear him take a moment of silence because the broadcast will get at least 40 million people. That's a small victory. I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's going to get done, the IOC moment of silence. But I think with Bob Costas doing this on the 40-year anniversary, we could get it in 4 years in 2016. I'm just being realistic with you. I'm not saying that's right or anything like that. Now, for those of you out there listening, we'll wrap up with this point. For those out there listening, thinking, why is it such a big deal, this moment of silence, I want to point out to you that these 11 members, came to the Olympics in a spirit of harmony, competition, and a form of peace. I mean, this is a world event where athletes are coming from around the world to compete in sports. Sports is a clean way, a proper way to get out aggression or anything else. It was a lot of times sports as a replacement for war. This was not done in war. This was done in peace. These were civilians. These were not Army soldiers or policemen or anything like that. These were regular people who happened to have a gift in athletics and wanted to show that on the world stage, and they were murdered unjustly. Again, not involved in politics or anything like that. They were just regular people, and they were murdered. So this has to be remembered because it hasn't been remembered yet. There hasn't been a moment of silence yet. Even if it was done Friday night, it's still 40 years too late, in my opinion, and it's never been done. So certainly time overdue. But just because it's time overdue doesn't mean it should not be done. The saying is better late than never. It doesn't mean it's perfect or great that it was late, but certainly better late than never. IOC needs to get it done, but to be honest, I don't think they will. I think Bob Costas is going to get it done. That will be a huge deal, and I think we'll get it done in 2016. Or perhaps it's possible something will be done at the end of the Olympic Games. You never know. If there's a Jewish Olympian out there, maybe he could take a stand and take some moment of silence if he gets on the platform and wins a gold or medals. Who knows? Hard to tell. But long overdue, and just can't say enough about it. That's going to conclude our show for tonight. I want to thank our guest, Philadelphia insider Ari Louis, who likes the Cole Hamels deal, says Cole Hamels is the best pitcher of the Phillies at this point. Also, he's young. I believe he's 28 years old, so he has some gas left in the tank. So he likes the deal, even though it's over $20 million a year for 6 seasons for the Philadelphia Phillies pitcher. We talked also Hanley Ramirez going to the Dodgers as well, and Ichiro Suzuki to the Yankees. Want to also thank Jim Williams from the Washington Examiner for breaking down the guarantee from the Carolina Panthers, the Olympics, and, of course, baseball signings as well. Not only Ichiro Suzuki to the Yankees, but Tampa Bay cutting ties with Hideki Matsui. And, of course, Tamar Katz, the lovely and talented Tamar Katz, two-time Israeli figure skater champion, who is working on a petition right now to get the IOC to finally get a moment of silence, long overdue. She has over 100,000 signatures, so that's a truly incredible feat, truly incredible accomplishment to get over 100,000 people to sign something. You know, if we're getting over 100,000 people to agree on something, we're in the right direction, as I say, because that does not happen too often. So, again, thank you to all our guests, Ari Bluestein, Jim Williams, and Tamar Katz. Tomorrow we will not be on live, as I will be on assignment in Netanya, but stay tuned tomorrow night for a great rerun, and we'll have great programming next week. We will be on from 6 to 8 p.m. Israel time, so that is 11 to 1 out on the East Coast. We'll have great guests. We are booked all the way through August with great guests all the way through, so take a listen to those shows in the upcoming weeks. But that's it for tonight. God bless and good night.